Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I want to share some data that gives me some hope for the 2026 midterm election. So, the first thing I want to share is some audio of people who did not vote. These are non voters who took part in recent focus groups. And the other thing I came across was a very interesting map of voter sentiment. This was broken down by state. So, let's dive in first with the focus groups. Last week, the focus group podcast featured participants who, for various reasons, did not vote in 2024. So these are people who voted for Joe Biden in 2020, and then they sat out the 2024 election. I will admit, many of these non voters justified their decisions to abstain, just as I've been seeing on social media. But there were several people who either flat out said, yeah, I regret it, or you can tell from their responses that they feel remorse because they're absolutely livid about what Trump's doing right now. And before I play the videos for you, I want to point out we have some uninformed people on our side of the aisle as well, because it came up in these focus groups that Kamala Harris has never been elected to any position. A woman in one of these focus groups actually said, oh, yeah, I agree with others who are saying, it's falsely believed that Harris has always just been appointed to positions. And for those who don't know, who are maybe listening, Harris was elected. She was elected to be the San Francisco district attorney. And then she was elected to be the Attorney General of California, not once, but twice. She was also then elected to be a U.S. Senator. So we need to do a better job on the left of also educating our own side. We need to get the facts out. So anyway, on to these focus groups. So this first man, he has a lot of excuses for not voting, but he states twice, as you're going to hear, he regrets it. So take a listen.
I regret not voting for Kamala. I just don't think, again, I don't think she was a great messenger. All the stumbles with live interviews was not reassuring. I had a couple of issues with her policies, specifically around crypto and just the financial system in general. But I just did not think she got me excited enough to get out there, especially in a blue state like New York. I just don't think she was an effective messenger. But again, just want to reiterate that I definitely regret not voting for her.
I want to point something else out too that I've seen and I've heard a lot in focus groups and on social media. More and more people are thinking that their vote doesn't matter. And a lot of it has to do with the Electoral College. So many people say things like, well, I live in a really red state, so I knew my vote wouldn't make a difference. Or on the flip side, well, I live in a blue state, so, I knew I really didn't need to vote because I knew how my state was going to go anyway. We have to get better at explaining to people as well why the popular vote counts, how it frames a narrative, and how it tells the other party, either tread lightly and don't push the boundaries too far, or they have a popular mandate to literally get away with violating the Constitution, as what we're seeing right now. So back to the focus group, you can tell that this next lady is just seething with anger. So check this out.
January 6th stands strong in my own personal view of Donald Trump. He threatened his own vice president when he didn't win the election and when his vice president stood up to him to safeguard our processes. And we elected him as a country again. And I'm shaking. I can't get beyond that. This is the kind of person he is. I think that he will try to go for a third term. And I think that he is laying the foundation right now to get the people to believe that he can and that he should. And those are my big concerns.
So obviously she didn't say this, but I would bet money that that woman assumed there was no way Trump is going to win again. And she probably was thinking that's why why am I going to bother? He's not going to get elected again. Either that, or like I said, she was maybe in a safe blue state or a hopeless red state, whatever the case may be. She definitely sounded shocked that the country elected this guy again. This next man also sounded astonished that Trump is getting away with violating the Constitution. So have a feeling here he also regrets not voting, but he doesn't flat out say it. So listen to this one.
What I don't like is, again, there's a laundry list of things that he's been doing. It feels like a victory lap at this point. You guys can't do to me what you thought you could. I got convicted, still won. I'm going to do every and anything I can to go after my political opponents. The young man who just got arrested, the student, I can't remember his name, but as it refers to what's going on in Gaza, he was a green card holder, I believe, and he still was detained and is about to be deported, even though he's technically legally in this country, and they haven't spoken on exactly what his crime was. Well, they said there was no crime committed, but he still was arrested. It's like a witch hunt now. He's going after every and anybody, and that's scary when the executive branch is pretty much saying judicial and legislative have no say over me. I'm going to do what I want, and until you can stop me, I'm going to keep going. I won't say certain things on here, but it seems like it's a powder keg. It's brewing right now.
Now, this next guy is really pissed off for numerous reasons. So take a listen to this.
I'm big into pro-military. I like the way they're going about things. I believe everybody has a role in the military. I don't believe, that like transgender people don't have a role in the military. They do. Everybody does. So those are the two things. I got a laundry list. I'm not going to go through it, but one of the major things is I'm very pro-Ukraine. I grew up with Ukrainian people. The way he has handled it, I got very upset. I've been following this all very closely. I've even tried to help with people I know at the DOD to help find missing kids in Ukraine. I mean, it hits really close to home. But, I mean, other than that, it seems like he looks at Putin as more of an ally in leadership than he does our actual allies that we've been allies with since World War II or even before then. The tariffs, it's just going to make all of us pay more money. And you know what? To his people that is in his circle, they don't care because they're all billionaires. I think I read something that said like the cabinet or the people he's appointed, the most billionaires ever in an administration. So, I mean, all these people, they can afford to pay $5, $6, $8 extra for a carton of eggs or whatever. January 6th, that hurt me even worse. I pledged allegiance to uphold the Constitution of this United States of America. And, that was a disgusting day for me. And having to go to work that day and just having to see it. I hated the guy, but until that point, I would almost wish bad things upon him. That's all.
So, as you guys can probably guess, the reason this gives me so much hope is these are people who sound motivated to stop what's happening in our country. And they obviously came out and voted in 2020. So they're not just non-voters across the board. In my opinion, we need to fight our impulse to shame these people. We need to swallow our righteous anger to some degree and ask them to please step up and do what's right to save the country. And here's the other thing that's bringing me some hopes. Newsweek had published an article, and it included an interactive map of the entire U.S. And if you hover over each state, you can see Trump's approval and disapproval rating for that state. So these numbers came from Civiqs, which is spelled Civiqs. This is the online daily approval polls that they run. And I'm going to go over a few of the key swing states that he won, just 5 months ago. And you're going to see how he's losing ground already. So here's Nevada, 45% approval, 51% disapproval. State he won. Wisconsin, same thing. He won Wisconsin. He is now at 47% approval, 51% disapproval. Could be why that Supreme Court seat just went by 10 points to the liberal judge. Next is Michigan, 44% approval of Trump, 52% disapproval. He's also upside down in Pennsylvania, 47% approval, 50% disapproval. North Carolina, again, was a state he won, but just barely. He is now upside down there as well. So as you can see here, 48% approval, 49% disapproval in North Carolina. Georgia, another swing state he took back in 2024, but check out his numbers there. 44% approval, 52% disapproval, almost 10 points underwater. And then this last one is the most interesting to me. So check out Texas. He won Texas by quite a bit. Every Republican does, but he is almost breaking even, at least in this poll. 49% approval, 48% disapproval. And there's been erosion in his numbers in other states. So, for example, Trump flipped Arizona. He won by over 5 points in that state. He is now evenly split at 48% approval and disapproval. And then he's even lost ground in Florida, which he won by 13%. So according to these poll numbers, 52% approval of Trump in Florida, 45% disapproval. So he's still above water. But again, we saw what happened earlier this week with those two Florida races where they lost a lot of ground over what their predecessors had done, over how Trump had done in their districts. And one of those counties within one of those districts flipped blue. So in looking at these numbers, I wondered how many of these people also failed to vote in 2024. How many of them just didn't come out to vote? Maybe they didn't like Kamala. Maybe they were busy that day. Maybe they also didn't think he could win, and maybe now they're regretting it after witnessing, over 2 months of his reign of terror. So again, gives me some hope along with some other stuff going on and those races this week. So I will keep you guys posted on all of this. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, and subscribe. Please donate if you can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.